Welcome to the Positive Spiritual Living Podcast, brought to you by Unity on the Bay. This is your positive path for spiritual living.
And I know you're going to be with us next Sunday morning as well, because we're going to have a phenomenal speaker. Her name is Diane Scribner-Clevenger. If that name sounds at all familiar to you, it's because she is the former senior minister of Unity of Naples, all the way across the continent of Florida on the Gulf side. She was there for many years, and the great thing about Diane is she's so laid back in her presentation of truth principles, and she is one whole heck of a lot of fun because she has a background as an actress, and she's an hysterical comedian. So if you want to get some laughter and joy into your new year, plan to be with us. She's also doing a workshop next week. I think it starts at 1:30 in the Garden Room on pray attention. This is the alternative ministry that she's created since departing from Unity of Naples. It's a prayer ministry, pray attention, and she'll be offering a workshop at 1:30, I think, till 3:30 or 3 next Sunday to help you develop your prayer life. If you don't have a solidly rooted, disciplined prayer life or meditation or contemplation exercise that's a part of your experience, join her next week because she'll be able to help you learn how to put one into place. All right, now I'll be the first to tell you that I never really excelled in science or math. In fact, true confessions, I never really accelerated in much of anything in my formal education. It was always a struggle for me. I like to learn, but I don't like to be told how to learn. Are you with me on that at all? In other words, just keep your structure to yourself, keep your formality to yourself. I will learn as I move through experience. Love to learn through experience. So this morning I'm going to be talking about a subject that I put a spiritual twist on. It's anatomy. And I don't really know anything about the physical anatomy of the human body to speak of. But what I do know is that there is an anatomy that I've shared with you before behind the experience that you're having. In each and every moment of your little walking, talking existence on this planet, there's an anatomy at work, and I call it the anatomy of experience. I've shared this with you before, but I am sharing it with you again this morning because I really believe that if you and I, because I'm engaged in this too, if you and I can really incorporate this understanding of the anatomy of our experience into our day-to-day, I'll even say our moment-to-moment existence, you can change your life and you can change the world. You can change the world. Because the anatomy of experience has to do with the understanding of the power that's inherent within you as you change your mind. Be transformed by the renewal of your mind. And that's what this whole white stone experience this morning is about, which is cause to pause to ask if everybody received one of these stones as you came in. If you did not receive a stone, this is the only time you're ever going to hear me say this. Ever, you have my permission to get up and proceed to the foyer in the middle of my talk and go get your stone. And I see the ushers are bringing some down too, so what a relief. I won't feel abandoned. We're going to use this little stone. Actually, if I feel abandoned, whose issue is that really? But so we need this little stone because we're going to have an exercise. We twisted around the service this morning, the order of the service a little bit, so that I can share some words with you about the anatomy of your experience. And then we can go into a meditation in which you will be invited to receive a word from your own innate higher intelligence that will be a pole star for you as you move through the year that lies ahead. So we'll use this little white stone in a moment. Now back to the anatomy of experience. I'll run through it real quickly for you, and then we'll take it step by step. The whole of the anatomy of experience is this: thought, belief, to concept, to paradigm, to experience. Are you with me now? Thought, belief, concept, paradigm, experience. You are actually constructing, and I'll say you alone, are constructing your day-to-day experience. And this is a hard pill to swallow, but I'm going to throw it out to you anyway to see if there's any takers. Nobody and no thing except for you is responsible for your experience. You are defining your experience, and you're creating it by virtue of this anatomy. It begins with a thought. One of the fundamental unity principles is thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. This we call the law of mind action. That when you hold a thought in your consciousness, in your mind, it is inevitable. There is no question about this because it is a universal law. As you hold a thought in your mind, that thought will ultimately materialize into expression in your world. Now, you'll be relieved to know that this isn't each and every little thought that flies by in the course of a day. I'm talking about the thoughts that you decide have enough value that you will cling to them, that you will possess them, that you will allow them to take up a level of residency in your own mind and heart, your own consciousness. So it's the thoughts that you're holding on to. And if we're honest with ourselves, all of this streaming flood and flow of thoughts is going on around here, but we are picking throughout the day the thoughts that we relate to build the anatomy of our experience. Now, these thoughts, as I've told you many times, are highly sociable in nature. They love to party. Anybody relate to this? Love to party. Let's all get together, especially at New Year's, cause for celebration. So one thought that you hold on to picks up their Facebook and throws an invitation out to all the other thoughts that it likes. And it likes the thoughts that are like itself. So the next thing you know, you have this huge New Year's Eve party going on of all these thoughts that are similar in nature. And when you get enough of those thoughts congregated together, they form a belief. So a belief is a thought or a bunch of thoughts that you keep on thinking. Now you're investing them with some feeling. You're investing them with some faith. And they become a belief. Now those beliefs are not any different than the thoughts. They also like to call up all their friends and neighbors of like similar nature and pull them together. You get all these beliefs that are now congregating in your consciousness. They've pitched a tent and they're having a wonderful time. They're planning on staying for a long time. Now you have a concept. A concept is a collection of similar beliefs that then show up on the panorama of your existence. Those concepts also are social in nature, and they love to create these little interesting things called paradigms. Now, a paradigm is like a pair of glasses that you put on your face. And the moment you put on a pair of glasses, whatever is on the filter, whatever is occurring on the lens of those glasses is going to show up as your experience. I often say that you cannot impact reality because reality is that you are made in the image and likeness of spirit. That is reality, and that you dwell on the level of spiritual activity. That's reality. But you can make a big difference in terms of how you experience that ultimate reality based on the paradigm, the glasses, the lenses that you're putting over your own human vision. You will always, always, always see that which you are looking for. I'm telling you. Look out in your life right now. If you see something you don't like, ask yourself, why is it that I might be looking for this? Because I believe that if I'm experiencing it, it's because I have in some way invested a level of value in it, and I've made it part of my paradigm. Now, an interesting thing about paradigms is that, like human beings and snowflakes, there are no two paradigms that are the same. This is difficult for human beings to accept. We run around with our paradigm, our glasses on, and we want everybody else to have the same paradigm. We want everybody else to have the same experience. In fact, we work diligently to convert other people to try to buy into our paradigm. This creates little tiny quarrels in family settings. It also creates tremendous suffering on the global level of humanity when we stand around saying, my paradigm is better than yours. Because guess what? Everybody always, this is part of the beauty of the infinite nature of the intelligence of the universe, everybody is wearing the paradigm that they need to wear right now. And whether you believe it or not, it's not up to you to improve their paradigm or to change it in any way. Trust me, you have enough work on your hands to deal with your own paradigm without running around trying to adjust other people's lenses on their faces. If you could just see a little more clearly the way I see, then the world would be a better place. I guarantee you it would not. But if you could say, I honor your right your divine right to hold your paradigm based on your experience and based on your present level of consciousness, as I humbly request that you honor my paradigm. Then what we're going to find out is we have a wonderful assortment of paradigms that all really complement each other and work really well when we trust the process of paradigms. So that's how you create your experience, my friends. You think a thought, innocently enough, pretty soon you got a lot of thoughts, you end up with a belief. Lots of beliefs make a concept, the concept to a paradigm, and voila, you are having an experience that you and you alone are responsible for, and that you and you alone can impact, can adjust, can refine. I've asked you before, but I'm going to ask you again because it's the beginning of a new year. Just exactly who do you think you are? Now, most of the time we ask that question rather defensively, don't we, when we're offended by somebody or something. Who do you think you are? But it's really an important question. In fact, I think it's the most important question you will ever ask yourself as long as you're walking and talking around on this planet. Who do you think you are? Because I'll tell you this, you will be precisely and exactly what you believe yourself to be. You will be what you believe yourself to be. So ask yourself right now, who do I really believe I am right now? Who do I think I am? It's an important question. And you see, the thing is that well-intentioned people early on within our lives decided that they knew who we were because they thought they knew who they were. And they tried to convince us that who they thought they were is who we were. Are you with me on this? In other words, well, I know who I am, and I know who you are because I know who I am. But the reality is, the identity that most of the generations that have preceded us have accepted is erroneous. It's false. It's not true. The Bible tells us we are mere mortal beings. So I want you all tomorrow morning to wake up first thing and just say to yourself, I am a mere mortal being. Isn't that just inspiring? How are you today? Well, I'm a mere mortal being. Oh, have a good day. But if you're really honest with yourself, you know, that's what we're carrying around a lot of. Well, I'm as good as I can be given what I am. I'm trying my best, but you know, I'm just not much. This is, as you know, my friends, in Unity, we do not believe in the traditional understanding of sin. But if there were a sin, it would be this: to take the glory and the grandeur and the greatness that you are and distill it down to a mere mortal being. Come on. You owe it to yourself, and you owe it to the human scene right now. Well, the reality is you don't owe anybody anything, but you get the point I'm trying to make here, is that it behooves you to trade in your old identity and to take on a new and higher and more beautiful understanding of who you are. And that possibility is before you in each and every moment, but at this time of new beginnings, it is especially fertile and especially wise. I said in the middle of last year at some point, I don't remember exactly when, it came to me as a divine flash, and when I say it to you, you're going to say, that's a divine flash? But you know, you can hear something over and over again, and you think you got it, but then all of a sudden you hear it with new ears, and you really got it, you really get it. So here it is. This is my aha for 2018 that is now the threshold of future ahas in 2019. The story you tell is the life that you lead. The story you tell is the life that you lead. The story you tell is the life that you lead. The story you tell is the life that you lead. What story are you telling about yourself right now as you're sitting in this room? What story are you telling about your friends? What stories are you telling about your enemies? What stories are you telling yourself about the state of our country right now? What stories are you telling yourself about the state of humanity meandering around on this planet right now? What stories are you telling? You're the author of your experience, so your story really matters. Your story, your report to yourself and to the world around you is most important. There are two different definitions you could accept for yourself. Well, there are probably many more, but I can distill them down to two categorizations for you for the sake of simplicity today, and here they are. The first one is you can accept humanity's definition of who you are. And if you're like me, and I grew up, in a unity family, so I should have had the best of everything there, but I still ended up with a lot of these ideas that had me defining myself as incompetent, unworthy, undeserving, filled with lack, prone to limitation, handicap, suffering, challenge, difficulty. That is, even for those of us that were unity babies, that is the collective consciousness that impacts all of us as we're growing up. So we can hold to the spiritual truth, but we still, to one degree or another, tend to succumb to this human understanding, and it's not a very optimistic understanding. There's another definition that you could choose to accept for yourself, and I'm inviting you to accept this definition for yourself in this room, seated right where you are right now, and that is God's definition of who you are. And let me assure you, God's definition of who you are and what you are doesn't have nothing to do with lack, with limitation, with unworthiness. It has everything to do with your standing up to recognize I am the power, I am the glory, I am the freedom, I am the peace, I am the love, I am the light of the world. I am the greatness and the grandeur of God in individualized expression. Let me tell you, my friends, when you wake up with that as the first thought on your fertile early morning mind, you are going to make a difference in your personal experience and in the planetary experience that we are all sharing. Take that applause for yourself right now. An applause saying, well done, oh buddy of mine. You're waking up. You're waking up. You're waking up. This is glorious liberation. It's as good as it gets. So this morning, the invitation is for you to follow in the footsteps of our own Pamela Mitchell, who's actually created a whole organization around redefining. Redefine yourself. You say, well, I don't know if I can do that. Who am I? By what authority do I redefine myself? Wow. You redefine yourself by the authority of the glory of God that you are. You have every right, in fact, you have every responsibility to redefine yourself. I love the words of, and she's one of my favorite classic unity authors, even though she's no longer on this earthly plane. I feel her presence. Her name was Imelda Octavia Shanklin. She wrote a book called What Are You? And the whole book is great and grand, but I tell you, she could have stopped after the first chapter when she told us who we were. She says that we're all suffering from spiritual amnesia. Spiritual amnesia. We have forgotten who we are. There's nothing wrong with that, except that it's a call to remember who we are. She says, you are the idea of God, capable of perfect translation. Now, let me just explain this idea of translation. You see, you get a thought, you get an idea, and then your responsibility as a human being walking around on the planet is to translate that idea into a living, manifest, real experience. So what she's saying here is you are the idea of God, and you have the capacity to translate that idea of your perfection into your day-to-day reality, your day-to-day experience. She goes on to say that someday you will become wholly awake to your divine identity and will begin to consciously take on the image of perfection. Now, the reality is, my friends, in spite of all the reports you've heard to the contrary, right now, you are perfect. Right now, everything that is a part of your experience is perfection. If it doesn't seem that way to you, it is merely because you have placed a paradigm, you have placed a lens in front of your human vision that is preventing you from being able to see that ultimate reality. And what we're going to experience right now, as you please accept my invitation to silence your phones, we're going to go into a time of quiet reflection and contemplation. And I'm going to precede this by reminding you that in every moment of your life, you have access to a silent, sweet center of your being that contains all of the intelligence, all of the light, and all of the love of an entire universe and beyond. So right now, as you're sitting in your seat, I just remind you, you have a wellspring. Joel Goldsmith called this, it was so sweet, the pool of contentment. The pool of contentment is within you. And anytime you have a challenge in your life, all you have to do is close your eyes as a symbolic gesture of your willingness to release the compelling illusion of time and space and rest in the awareness of the truth of who you are, and then receive. I am open and receptive to God's living spirit of truth. I am open and receptive to God's living spirit of truth. You see, open yourself up, because we're going to ask in the next few minutes that this deep wellspring of contentment and intelligence and light and love and beauty reveal to you a single word that can be used by you as a pole star in the year to come. Do not underestimate your ability, Unity on the Bay. Right now in this moment, you can be given an honest, direct, and truthful definition of who you are. So we're going to move into this time with a song exquisitely written by John Davis, and I might say exquisitely sang by our own Dale Stein. And I'll be back with you in just a moment as we make this beautiful, brilliant discovery together.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Positive Spiritual Living Podcast, brought to you by Unity on the Bay, a spiritual community located in Miami, Florida. Unity on the Bay is supported by the generosity of its community. If you'd like to make a donation or learn more about Unity on the Bay, please visit unityonthebay.org. You can also follow Unity on the Bay on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for even more positive spiritual inspiration. Until next time, thanks for listening and many blessings. Namaste.